Welcome class to Chapter 6, Positioning Objects with CSS in Tables. Chapter 6 is going to contain 7 lecture videos, one for each lesson, plus the assignments video. So this video will cover our first objective, which is to create a page using a fluid grid layout. So CSS page layouts consist of containers that are formatted with CSS rules into which you place your page content. These containers can accommodate blocks of text, images, movies, or any other type of page element. So up to this point, you've been using a CSS page layout. We based our coffee shop homepage off of the Striped Umbrella homepage, which is formatted in a CSS page layout. So what this chapter is going to do is we're going to look at fluid grid layouts and kind of a modification as to how we're going to go about doing it, just because Dreamweaver has been updated, and so we'll go through that process. But before we do that, we're just going to continue to learn about what's in lesson 1. So the appearance and position of the containers are set through the use of HTML tags known as div tags. Now div tags are still used today. There are other tags as well, and they're HTML5 tags such as article and section and aside and tags like that. So div tags are again used, and you can use those within your HTML5 tags as well. So we're going to use div tags, and we're going to position elements next to each other as well as on top of each other. So tables we'll get into, I think, like lesson 6, are placeholders made up of small boxes called cells into which you can insert text and graphics. Cells are arranged in rows horizontally and vertically in columns. So we're going to use tables are used to lay out content in a tabular way. We would never use tables to lay out an entire web page. You can also create dynamic div tags using JavaScript behaviors. So simple action scripts that let you incorporate interactivity by modifying content based on variables like user actions. This isn't anything that we're going to touch here in Dreamweaver class, but this is something that we can apply in a JavaScript course or maybe a jQuery course. One type of div tag is called an AP div tag, and AP stands for absolutely positioned, and so that's what AP div is. It creates a container that has a specified fixed position on a web page, and then the resulting container is called an AP element. We will avoid AP, absolutely positioned div tags, as much as we can. And the reason is we want to create a responsive design for our users. So coming from the desktop view down to tablet to the smartphone view is really hard to accomplish with AP div tags. So what we're going to use in this chapter is the fluid grid layout, and we'll see how much more powerful that is. Okay, so because building a web page using div tags can be tedious for beginning designers, Dreamweaver provides what they call fluid grid layout. Now, what we're going to find out is that this is not an option in the new document dialog box with Creative Cloud. And so I'm going to supply you with files, and then I'm just going to show you, the CSS that is actually creating that fluid grid layout. So this is no longer. Okay, but we are going to accommodate mobile, tablet, and desktop when we're working with our fluid. And we've been doing this all the way up to this point. But now what you're going to do is you're going to create a page from scratch, okay, instead of copying it from another page or copying it from a data file. And so we'll see that as we practice. Okay, each device size is based on a grid system similar to column guides. CSS style sheets control the way that the page content is displayed across the grids, with each grid using slightly different selector properties and values tailored to the device being used to display the page. So in this class, we'll use, a file that will be given to you, and we'll be adding divs to the page and so on. When you get into the course CIS 152, which is Cascading Style Sheets, you will be venturing into the grid column layout or the grid system, and also Flexbox. And so you'll get more experience with those two types of conventions as well. A designer can design a single page, but modify the way the content is displayed by changing the style sheet properties so the content will be attractive and readable regardless of the screen size and the display that is displaying it. Okay, so again, that's a responsive design. Our fluid layout is going to contain div tags that control the placement of page content using placeholders. And so we'll take those placeholders, we'll replace them with our content, whether it be an image, whether it be text, okay? Because div tags use CSS for formatting and positioning, designers prefer them for building web page content. Okay, just again, responsive design here on this slide. Okay, so we're going to use split view, and we're going to use live view too as well. So we're going to be using all of the different views, code view, design view, and we'll see that as we practice throughout this chapter. You'll notice that you'll see a dotted line border around any block, okay, that has CSS involved in it. So just note that's a visual. And so let's look at 6.6 and 6.7. And actually, we're not even going to really look at them because, again, we don't have the option to create a fluid grid layout in Dreamweaver. And so we are going to download our files. I'll let Dreamweaver load there. So on the assignments page, there is a zip file, and that zip file you are going to download. And once you open it up, you can make the decision at that point whether to push all of these into their respective sites. So Cafe is Striped Umbrella, Catalog is TripSmart, the CS template is your coffee shop, and Workshops is Blooms. So you can take each one of these and just place it in their respective sites and just let it overwrite any existing file that might be there. Okay, so I'm going to take Cafe and I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go find my Striped Umbrella. Oh, I went into Coffee Shop, Striped Umbrella. And I paste it in here. And then again, I'm just going to allow it to replace. Okay, it was a blank file. Okay, so no worries there. Okay, so I'm going to use my Files panel to go ahead and open up Cafe. Okay, and I have it in split view, and this is what it looks like at this point. So this is what would have been given to you had you had the option of creating a fluid grid layout as shown on page 6. Okay, this is the code that would have been given to you. So let's just note that on line 29, it says div class equal grid container, and then we have an additional class called clear fix. So these are CSS classes that can be found in SU styles. Okay, so let's go ahead and check those out. So grid container is right here. Okay, and grid container says margin left auto and margin right auto. And the width is set to 86.45%. So what this does, it's going to center the auto margins, left and right, center my page layout. And then this is the width, okay? We have some padding, we have clear none, float none, we have a border, and we have a background color. So the background color is this white, and the border is what you kind of see around here. Let me go ahead and go to design view so we can see it a little better. So that is the border that we're seeing. Okay, so that is really the heart of it right there in the fluid layout. So when I come to live view and I use my slider here and I come across, it adjusts, okay? So based on my resolution, it's still going to be at that 86%. Okay, and it's going to divide equally on both sides. Okay, so that's what you need to do for lesson 1 is just go ahead and download Cafe from the zip file. and let it overwrite your existing Caffe file. If you have any questions, let me know.